You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and this is my conversation with a fella called Dean Back. He's the bass player in Canadian outfit Theory of a Deadman. Now, the reason for the conversation is to promote the band's Tour of Australia, which is occurring through June of 2018. Let me read out some dates. Friday the 22nd, they're playing Sydney. Saturday the 23rd, they're playing Brisbane. Sunday the 24th, they're playing Perth. And Tuesday the 26th, they are playing Melbourne. Now, originally, when I got the invite to chat to Dean, I thought it was to promote the band's album, so you'll hear through the conversation that I didn't realise a tour was happening. Sometimes these happen, and you don't read the notes that are sent to you by John. My apologies. Anyway, it's still a really good chat because we're able to talk about the bass guitar, which I'm a bass guitarist, so some of you long-time listeners will, of course, be aware. So let's have a listen to what Dean has to say. Here we go. Hey, Dean. How are you, mate?
Good man. How are you doing?
Yeah, plugging away. Are you in the middle of a bit of an Australian indie press junket at the moment, or am I the first person that you've spoken to from Australia today?
You're the first one that I've spoken to. Yeah, I know the other guys have had a couple interviews. But,
cool.
The first for me.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, I did, when John put out the call for the interview with a member of the band, mate, I did specifically select you, and that's because I'm a bass guitarist, and I always love talking to a high-profile bass guitarist, so there you go.
Oh, amazing. That's awesome.
Cool. Mate, let's kick things off. Actually, before I do, how much time have we got?
I think, there's another one at 5:45, I'm assuming, so 10 minutes or so.
10 minutes. Okay, cool, mate. All right, well, you've got an excellent new album out called Wake Up Call. What do we need to know about it?
It's a little bit of a departure for us. We approached this record a little bit differently. Traditionally, when we wrote music, it was sit with an acoustic guitar, and Tyler would come up with a bunch of ideas. And this time around, Tyler wanted to put the guitar down, and he has a piano at home now, and he wanted to write some songs with the piano and kind of get himself out of his comfort zone. So the music and songs that he'd come up with were quite a bit different from what we traditionally had done. And when we started getting some of the ideas sent to us from him, I got so excited about it. I'm like, this is fresh, this is new, this is something different.
Cool.
And I was so excited to get going on it. So when it came time to think about producers and stuff like that, our last 4 records were all done in Los Angeles with the same producer and the same production team.
Yep.
And we kind of thought that with the new sound, it was a good idea to go out and search for someone new. So we found a Swedish producer, Martin Treffi, and we really liked some of the stuff that he had done. So we got on the phone with him, and we talked to him for a bit, and we were wondering if he'd think about coming over to the States and record, and he's like, he would, but he's got his own studio in London, England, that he feels comfortable recording in, and he wondered if we were into that. So kind of talked about it, and we're like, yeah, why not? This is something totally different, and let's do it. So we went over to London, England for 7 weeks, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Sweden at the moment. No, you're talking about a Swedish chap producing you in London, but Sweden's producing some extraordinary bands, but also some extraordinary producers. So there's the gent that's produced your album, and a fellow that you might have heard of called Jens Bogren, who's doing a lot of metal bands at the moment, which is typically the artists that I interview. But yeah, always very fertile musical ground over there, that's for sure. So did the producer impart any particularly Swedish words of advice or wisdom onto the band?
I don't know if it definitely had a European feel. It definitely, being in recording in England, it had this sort of history in the old building that we were in. And, we used to, whenever we recorded, we were in this dark room that was no windows and everything, but this was completely opposite. It was wide open. There was windows, sunlight coming through, and we used to record very isolated. The drummer would be in one room, and the guitars would record here, and the bass would be recorded there, and sort of individually as well. But a lot of the recording took place just jamming. We'd all be in the big same room, and with the exception of the drums, would be in an isolated room. But yeah, we would just get in the same room and just let it go, and I think it comes across more organic on this record too. It feels organic. I think that was a bit of a European flair there.
Okay, there you go. Now for my favourite bit, mate. As I mentioned at the beginning of our chat, I am a bass guitarist, and it's always such a thrill to talk to a high-profile bass guitarist who's actually touring the world and has platinum albums under your belt, that sort of thing, mate. So, mate, the bass guitar, was that the first choice of instrument for yourself, or did you start on the guitar and migrate that way?
Yeah, I started on the guitar, and it's funny, actually, that's how Tyler and I met. We went to the same guitar school. We had two different teachers. And then we got a job at the same restaurant working together. So we kept crossing paths with each other, and I was always kind of a bedroom player, just like to go into my room and play. And
yep.
One day we were sitting at the restaurant after work, and he's like, "I'm thinking of starting a band, get some guys together. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Let's give it a shot." But he already had two guitar players. But we need a bass player. I'm like, "Sure, I'll play bass." I just wanted to be in a band. So
Sweet.
Sort of picked up the bass guitar from there, and the rest is history.
So the albums have always had a massive bass sound. So I haven't actually checked online, but I'm going to try and guess what your rig might include. So I think you either use Warwick basses or Schecter basses, or Spectre, I should say, and you might go through Ampeg amplification. Have I got it right there, or am I completely off?
I am playing Spectre basses, yeah.
Okay, got that. I could hear that.
I've played them from day one. I've veered away for a little bit. I played Gibson for a while, but I'm back to playing Spectres, and I actually play Mesa Boogie stuff.
Mesa, okay,
Mesa
yeah.
Boogie Big Block.
Yeah, we get a little bit of Mesa down here. It's got a good distribution, but it's more of a guitar thing, not necessarily a bass thing. I know they do bass stuff, but in Australia, the two biggest brands I'd probably say are Ampeg and Gallien Kruger, and I play Gallien Kruger, and I play most weekends, and I've got a 1001 RB, which doesn't let me down, and I play Music Man basses because I play a lot of funk and disco style music, which is really interesting for me because I tend to listen to a lot of hard rock and heavy metal, but I tend to play a lot of funk and disco music, like Kylie Minogue and Madonna and that sort of stuff, primarily because they're interesting bass lines.
Right, that's very cool. Yeah, Guns N' Roses was a huge, huge band for me. So Gallien Kruger, Duff always played Gallien Kruger. I always love that stuff too.
Yeah, actually, I'm. Yeah, actually, Stephen Adler's in the country at the moment. I had a chat to him last week about all sorts of interesting things, but I'm going to try and catch up with him on Saturday and continue my discussion with him about UFOs and aliens that we dived into, as I say, last week when I had a chat to him. So, yeah, Guns N' Roses, you're spot on, mate. Duff's a big Gallien Kruger player, but is there, just talking about the way you contribute to the albums and the songwriting, is there anything about the way the songwriting where you come in with a bass riff, for example, go, "Hey lads, I've got this bass riff, let's build a song from here," or is a lot of it done where there's the guitar first and you just layer the bass over the top of that later?
Yeah, most of the songs come very bare bones from Tyler. So there's a rough structure and a rough sound, and sometimes he'll put like basic bass stuff on it, and sometimes there'll be none. So, a lot of the stuff I just come up with at home. I'll sit and jam with the songs, with the bare bones, and then come up with ideas. And then the funny thing about this record, too, is normally we'll get like 2 weeks of pre-production just for us all, because we all live in different cities. We don't live anywhere near each other.
Right. Yep.
So a lot of the stuff is just playing by ourselves at home with the music. So we'll usually get a jam room for about 2 weeks before we hit the studio just to tighten the songs up and sort of figure out what we all want to do.
Yes.
And when we were talking to the producer, he's like, no. We want you guys in the room, and I'm pressing record as soon as you start playing it. So some of these songs, when they recorded, were us playing these songs together for the very first time.
Okay. There's a bit of an urgency about things then, that whole live approach. Gotcha. I thought there was a bit of a different sound on this album here compared to one that's gone by. It's far more. It just feels like an urgent album. It sounds like these songs are going to go down really well live. Yeah, we've started playing 3 or 4 of them now live, and some of the songs that, especially early on in touring this record, a lot of the fans haven't heard any of these songs. Yeah, gotcha.
And to hear them live too, there's a different energy to it too. So it's a lot of fun to play, and a lot of the songs that might not have as much oomph on the record, as soon as we start playing them live, it really brings it up a notch.
Yeah. Hey, I better make this my last question because I'm aware I'm out of time, but when are you guys coming down? Is that on schedule?
Yeah, we are going to be there at the beginning of July, I believe. Late June, early July.
Cool. Gosh, okay. That tour obviously hasn't been announced yet, but that's very soon.
Yeah, it's coming up. There's 4 shows. Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, and Melbourne.
Well, I should be able to get to the Brisbane show, mate. So, mate, I better let you go. Thanks so much for the chat. I've admired your work for a while now, and congratulations on an excellent career. Oh,
I appreciate talking to you. I'm so excited to get over, and I'd love to see you if you come up to the show.
Oh, we'll do, mate. I always try to get, not much backstage, mate, but if we can catch up and talk shop again, mate, that'd be wonderful, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Talk to Atlantic or whoever set this up.
No worries, mate. All right, all the best. Thanks very much again. No worries.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, mate. Catch ya.
Bye, Andrew.
You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that was my conversation with a fella called Dean Back. He's the bass player in Canadian outfit, The Deadman. Really appreciate you listening.